First, we're going to get into the truck using 3 points of contact. Then we're going to close the door. And then we're going to start the truck. And we're going to make sure that the DPF, DEF, and ABS light all come on and go off. And they all did. Then we're going to build our air pressure until the governor cuts off between 120 and 140 psi. Now that the governor is kicked off between 120 and 40 psi, we can now put it in first gear, turn the truck off, turn the key back to the on position, and then charge the brakes. While the air is settling, we'll listen for any leaks. Now that it's settled, we'll press and hold the brake, and we will, for a minute, we should lose no more than 4 psi in that 1 minute, and we'll ask the instructor or the tester to time us. Could you please time us? And then he will let you know once it's been a minute, and we can release the brake, and we lost no more than 4 psi in that minute. Now we'll milk the air pressure down to check the warning light and buzzer, and they should come on before it gets below 55 psi. And the warning light and buzzer came on before 55 psi, so they are both working. And then we will milk it down to check to make sure that our emergency brakes pop out and that they activate, and they should come on between 20 and 45 psi. And they both pop between 20 and 45 psi, so that is working. So now we can put it back into neutral, start the truck, and rebuild our air. And we'll rebuild it until the air pressure gets back up to the governor and it kicks off between 120 and 140 psi. So now that we're fully aired up again, we can check to see if our parking brake and our trailer brakes work. So first we're going to release the parking brake, and then we'll give it a little tug, and the brakes are holding the truck back, so they are working. So then we'll release the trailer brake, and we'll check the parking brake. We'll let off the clutch a little bit and give it a little tug, and it's holding the truck back too, so that one's working as well. Then we will release both of them, and we'll get up to 5 miles an hour and check the service brake, and we'll press the clutch and the brake at the same time, take our hands off the steering wheel, and it should stop us, and it shouldn't pull left or right to indicate that there's a bad brake component. But since I'm holding the camera and I'm in a bay, we'll just pretend that we actually went up to 5 miles an hour. I hit the brakes, and the steering wheel didn't pull left or right, and the brake stopped us, and we didn't have a bad brake component. So then we can set the brakes, and then at that point, now we will check all of our light indicators. First, we'll check that our left blinker is working, our right blinker is working, Our four-way hazards are working. We already checked our ABS and our DEF and DPF lights when we started the truck. Now we'll check for our emergency equipments, and there's 3 triangles back there behind the seat. Our fire extinguisher is right there. It's a minimum of a 10 BC. We have spare fuses up in the overhead, and then we'll put on our seatbelt. Make sure that we latch it, unlatch it, relatch it to make sure that it's working. And then we're going to check our permit book to make sure that our registration and our insurance are up to date. Then we're going to check our windshield and traffic monitoring device, and our windshield is properly mount secured. It's not cracked, broken, or loose. It's not leaking, and there's no illegal stickers. Our traffic monitoring devices on this truck are mirrors, and they are both properly mounted secured. They're not cracked, broken, or loose. They're clean, and they're adjusted to me. And then I'm going to check my windshield washer and my wipers. I'm going to press and hold the wash button, and it's spraying fluid, and the blades are going up and down like they're supposed to, and the blades have no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, so it's all working. Then I'm going to check my heater and defrost. I'm going to put it on the heat defrost setting, turn the fan on, put my hand up on top and check that the defrost is working, and then down below to make sure that the heat is working. Then I can turn that off. And then I'm going to check my city horn and my country horn. My city horn is working. My country horn is working. Then I'm going to have the tester get out and check all my external lights. First, I'm going to have him go to the front of the truck, and I'm going to have him check my headlights, both my high beam and my low beam, my left turn signal, my right turn signal, my four-ways, and my marker lights on top. Then I'm going to have him go to the driver's side and have him check my driver's side marker lights and my left turn signal lights. Then I'm going to have him go to the back of the truck and check my tail lights, my brake lights, my left turn signal, my right turn signal, my four-ways, and my marker lights. Then I'm going to have him check the passenger side of the vehicle and check my passenger side marker lights and my passenger side blinker. And then at this time, we can get out and do the outside of the inspection. And when we get out of the truck, we can turn the engine off. We'll start at the front of the truck, and we'll check all our lights, lenses, reflectors, and DOT tape and make sure that they're all properly mounted secured, no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. None of them are cracked, damaged, or loose, and they're all the proper color. And then we'll check underneath the truck and make sure that there's no visual leaks. Then we can go to the passenger side engine compartment. First, we'll look at all of our hoses and wires and make sure that they're all properly mounted secured. There's no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and that we don't hear any audible air leaks or see any visual fluid leaks. Then we're going to check our windshield washer reservoir, make sure that it's properly mounted secured. It's not cracked, it's not broken, it's not loose, it's not leaking, and it's at the proper operating level. Then we can go over to the driver's side of the engine compartment. Now that we're at the driver's side of the engine compartment, first we'll check all of our hoses and wires and make sure that they're all properly mounted secured and no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. And we don't hear any audible air leaks, and we don't see any visual fluid leaks. Then we'll check our coolant reservoir, make sure that it's properly mounted secured. It's not cracked, it's not broken, it's not loose, it's not leaking, and it's at the proper operating level. Then we'll check our oil level by pulling out the dipstick, wiping it off, putting it back in, pulling it out, checking the level. If we need to add any, we can add some in the yellow cap up here. Then we'll check the power steering fluid. We'll check our power steering fluid, make sure that reservoir, make sure that it's properly mounted secured. It's not cracked, broken, or loose. It's at the proper operating level, and it's not leaking. We'll check our power steering hose, make sure that it's properly mounted secure with no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. We'll check our power steering shaft and make sure that it's properly mounted secured. It's not cracked, broken, or loose, and there's no more than 10 degrees of play in it. We'll check our steering U-joints, make sure that they're properly mounted secured, not cracked, broken, or loose, and they are properly greased. We'll check our steering gearbox, make sure that it's properly mounted secured, not cracked, broken, or loose. We'll check our 3-piece steering linkage and make sure that it's all properly mounted secured, not cracked, broken, or loose, and it's secured with castle nuts and cotter keys. Then we'll check our leaf spring and leaf spring hangers front and rear, make sure that they're properly mounted secured, not cracked, broken, or loose. We'll check our U-bolts, make sure that they're properly mounted secured, not cracked, broken, or loose. We'll check the shock, make sure that it's properly mounted secured, not cracked, broken, or loose, and it's not leaking. Then we'll check our brake line, air line, and ABS wire and make sure that they're properly mounted secure with no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and that they're not leaking. Then we'll check our brake shoe and brake drum, make sure that they're properly mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or loose, and there's no signs of foreign debris or contaminants in there. Then we'll come out to the steer tire. We'll check our sidewalls, both our inside and outside sidewalls, and make sure that they're properly mounted secure with no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. We'll check our tread, make sure it's properly mounted secure with no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. There's no foreign debris, and that the tread is checked with a tread depth gauge, and make sure that since it's a steer tire, it's at least 430 seconds of tread. The drive tires and the trailer tires should have at least 230 seconds of tread. Then we'll check to make sure that there's 100 psi of air pressure in the tire. That we'll check through the valve stem with the tire pressure gauge and make sure that the valve stem is properly mounted secured, not cracked, broken, or loose, and that has a cap. We'll make sure the rim is properly mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or loose, and there's no illegal welds. We'll make sure that the lug nuts are properly mounted secured, they're not cracked, broken, or loose, and loose would be indicated by running rust or shiny metal. We'll make sure the hub is properly mounted secured, it's not cracked, broken, or loose. It's at the proper operating level of hub oil, which you can see through the sight glass. We'll then come to the side of the truck and we'll make sure that all our lights, lenses, reflectors, and DOT tape are all properly mounted secure. They're not cracked, broken, or loose, and there's no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and they are all the proper color. Then we'll check our traffic monitoring devices, which on this truck are mirrors, make sure that they're all properly mounted secure, they're not cracked, broken, or loose. And then we'll come down and we'll check our batteries, make sure that they are properly mounted secure, they're not cracked, broken, or loose, they're not leaking, there's no frayed wires, and there's no corrosion. Then we'll check our fuel tank and and our DEF tank, make sure that they are both properly mounted secure, they're not cracked, broken, loose. Check underneath to make sure that they're not leaking, and make sure that our fuel tank is held on by straps with rubber insulators, and that our fuel cap has a safety chain. Then we'll check our frame, both on the truck and on the trailer, and make sure that they're all properly mounted secure, they're not cracked, broken, or loose, and that there is no illegal welds. And then since this is a combination vehicle, now we will go check the coupling system and make sure that all of our hoses and wires are all properly mounted secure with no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and there's no audible air leaks. We'll check our connectors and our glad hands and make sure that they're all properly mounted secure and they're not cracked, broken, or loose. Then we'll check our pintle and our pintle eye, hitch and eye, and make sure that they're both properly mounted secure, that they're securely fastened together, and that there is a secondary lock locking the pintle latch. Then we'll check our safety chains, make sure that they're properly mounted secure, they're not cracked, broken, or loose, and fully secure. We'll make sure that the tongue is properly mounted secure and not cracked, broken, or loose, and no illegal welds. We'll check our landing gear, make sure that it is properly mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or loose. The dollies are in the up position, fully stowed, and the handle is stowed as well. We'll make sure that there's adequate space between the back of the truck and the front of the dollies for the truck and trailer to turn. Then we'll check the side of the trailer and make sure that all of our lights, lenses, reflectors, and DOT tape are all properly mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or loose, no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and they are all the proper color. Then we'll go to the back of the trailer. We'll check the back of the trailer and make sure that our lights, lenses, reflectors, and DOT tape are all properly mounted secured. They're not cracked, broken, or loose, there's no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and that they are all the proper color. And then we'll go over to the passenger side of the vehicle and we'll inspect the side of the truck the same way as we inspected the others. And then this concludes our pre-trip inspection.